take you through some live demos. So bear with us. I'm sure this will go fine, but as technology can be, there might be one or two bumps in the road. So thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Louise again.
Thank you, Paul. I hope you can all see my screen and hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through how we've used Microsoft Forms. As you can see, you access this through portal.office.com, and when you get in there, you just click the tab Forms, and this will bring up your dashboard. As you can see, I do a register for my pupils every day, but I'm going to talk to you today about generating quizzes and how you can use this really as an assessment for learning tool, as well as engagement. So the first thing we're going to have a look at, you have two types. You can either create a form or you can create a quiz. A form is fantastic for perhaps gathering feedback, getting pupil voice, or perhaps sending it out outside of your organisation for parental feedback or something like that. Or a quiz is great for marking, reducing workload, and also providing feedback to the pupils. So the quiz is what I'm going to focus on predominantly with you today. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is our webinar maths quiz. Any mathematicians out there, you might find this super useful. As you can see here, you simply just give the quiz a title. You can enter a description, you add questions, but something that's really cool about the maths functionality within here is that it generates the questions for you and the answers. So I'm just going to give you a demonstration. So as you click add new, you can see here that it's already generated lots of question ideas based on the first one that I've done. So I can just simply click add all. It generates the multiple choice, and it also provides me with the answers already in there. So I've not had to do anything. Again, you can do that as many times as you want. So again, add new, and you can continue to do that for as many questions as you require. When it comes to sending this to the pupils, there's a variety of ways that you can do this. You can change the themes, so you can make it slightly more engaging. You can put different backgrounds on there, different colours for the pupils. So we'll just go with some hot air balloons. When it comes to then sharing this with your pupils or people within your organisation, you can have a look up here. You can only allow people within your organisation to respond, or you can have anyone with a link can respond. That's also fantastic. Like I said, if you're sending out a form for parental feedback, it's important that that is selected, otherwise they won't be able to respond. You can do this through sharing a link, so you would simply copy that link. You can then post that into Teams, onto a OneNote page. You can pop it into an email. So there's a variety of ways of distributing that link. You can also do it as a QR code, which then you just download. There's a way to embed it, and again, it will take it straight to Outlook if you click on the email. You can also share it as a template. So if you wanted to share this perhaps with somebody else in your department or somebody else in your area, you can copy that, send that to somebody else, and that will allow them to have a copy should they then want to amend it. Or you can also get a link to collaborate if you're wanting to work with people to be able to do that. You can do that on here. Then when it comes to the responses, so we've already had one pupil, myself, complete this quiz. So when you have a look at the responses, when you get these in from the pupils, this is what it looks like. You can see it tells you the average time it's taken a pupil to complete it. You can review the answers and give feedback. So if I was to review the answers here, again, I can see that I got it wrong. I can give them points, and I can also give them feedback. I can enter feedback in there really quickly. I can direct them to something. And then once I've given the pupils feedback, I can then just post the scores, and those scores then go back to the pupils. If you want to monitor this and you want to use it for tracking and for engagement, you can also open in Excel, and that will pull the data into Excel for you to be able to input into your own spreadsheets, and that will allow for that to happen. So that is the maths quiz. Bit of a whistle stop tour. And the other way of doing it through a quiz from an English perspective is a way to kind of do, for example, a reading paper. So again, this one here, you can see that this has been awarded points. So it's a 5-mark answer. I'm wanting 5 responses in there. Again, another 5-mark answer, 5 responses in there. When the pupils submit them, I can review the answers, and I can do it through people. So as you can see here, I could do it question 1, question 2, by each person, or I can do it with questions. I can deal with all question 1 first and all question 2 afterwards and submit the points and provide the feedback just like I have done for the previous one. And you would share this in exactly the same way through the variety of different ways that you can share, duplicate and collaborate with. So that's what I'm going to show you in terms of Microsoft Forms. And now, if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to be popping them into the chat, and we will get onto those once I've done the next demonstration. So I'm now just going to share my screen with you. I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you. So hopefully you can see that.
Not as yet.
Okay. Sorry, it won't be a second to just get it to. Okay, hopefully you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to quickly talk you through the PowerPoint recorder and also through the translate feature on Microsoft PowerPoint, which is fantastic for pupils with EAL, pupils that speak in different languages, or if you're teaching a subject in a different language, it might be really beneficial to have a look at this. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is the PowerPoint recorder. You should see a recording tab on your ribbon. If you don't have that, don't worry. You literally go into File, down to Options, you go to Customize Ribbon, and then down here on this left-hand side, you will see Recording. You just select it, click Add, and then it will show up in here, and you just click OK, and that will then come up at the top of your screen. So in terms of the options you've got for recording your PowerPoints, you can record slideshow, so you can record from the current slide or record from the beginning, and that records your voice over the top of the PowerPoint and saves it with it. You can do a screenshot, so it'll show you available windows for screen clipping. You could do screen recording, which allows you not necessarily just to record over the PowerPoint, but you might bounce out into different tabs on the internet, on a different platform, on Teams, direct them to a certain post, and that will record that as well. When it comes to saving it, you can save it as a show. So again, that creates a separate slideshow file and you can then share that. You can export to video, which is brilliant. So the pupils literally just click play and they watch it and they can hear you. Or you can publish it to stream. If you publish it to stream, you can share the link with the pupils, you can share it with the organisation and they can download it, react to it. And that might be really lovely for working collaboratively as well. The pupils have responded really well to live and pre-recorded lessons, just like Paul mentioned before. And again, PowerPoint Recorder has allowed us to do that more effectively as well. Okay, so PowerPoint Translate then. So to translate this PowerPoint into a different language, you simply go into Slideshow, you click Translate Slides, slide language, English, translate to, I'm going to go with Spanish, and then you simply just click Translate Slides. That then brings up a file for you to just save, and then once you have saved that file, you can just simply open it and it will be in a completely different language that you perhaps want to share with pupils, which obviously is a really great way for pupils with EAL, or like I said, if you're teaching a different language, to be able to do that. Again, if you've got any questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat.
Thanks for that, Louise. So far, that's great. Giving us a quick overview there of Microsoft Forms and how that works. There are a couple of questions that have come into the chat window. I'll just take them one by one. Forms is free. It's part of the Office 365 suite. So it's one of those that you can find via portal.office.com, and you can access it directly from there or via Teams as well now. In terms of sharing this with parents, as long as you click anyone with this link can respond, then parents don't need forms downloaded. They could do it on any device, and we've used it a lot in terms of getting feedback from our parents and pupils over the past few weeks. In fact, we've used it for a couple of years now across school, and it's really easy to use, and it means that parents can actually respond to it on their mobile phone, for example. So they don't need a separate Office 365 account to do that. And that also applies to a lot of the Office 365 products. So things like Sway, which are really good. We're not going to look at that today, but are really good to do things like newsletters with. The good thing about that is you don't need Sway installed because it's all web-based. There's a question about training. In terms of setting a form up, it's pretty straightforward and intuitive. There are different question types that you can choose. So it's really straightforward as a teacher. What you can also do is you could do branching. So if they answer a particular response to one type of question, then it takes them to a question maybe further down in the form. So in terms of teaching the teachers how to do that, it doesn't take too long. What Louise at the start of the webinar mentioned about the Microsoft Educator Centre, that's a great place to go to get a short webinar about how to use forms and how to set it up if you really are a novice at it. In terms of pupils using it and parents, it is really straightforward. They click on the link that you send out to them. We quite often send them out via our app or via text. They click the link and they access it straight away. And there's a question about interactive quizzes and how you can do that. You can't set it where you can drag and drop questions into perhaps two columns or two columns of a table, which you may want to do. But what you can do, there is an option where they have to order their responses into the correct order. So there are various ways to do that. So, but as I said, you can order the responses depending on the priority or size or whatever it may be. So there are lots of different ways to do that. But the really good thing about the quiz is that the pupils get the feedback straight away, so they get to see their score straight away. And as a teacher as well, in terms of the actually administering that, once you've done the initial setup, it all comes in automatically. So it really is a sort of a teacher workload saving method. And you can also link this to things like streams. So you show them a video clip and they ask some questions about it. Lee's going to go into that in more depth in the next section of our webinar. So I'll leave it there for the time being. I'm going to hand you over to Lee, who's now going to take us through the next bit of the interactive demo. Hi, Lee.
Hello, everybody. Just to double check that you can see me okay and hear me?
Yeah, we can, Lee. Yeah, on your desktop.
Fantastic, brilliant. Okay, so basically it's my job now to show you a couple of little sort of hints and tips on how to to save teachers time and to ensure that in these difficult times as well that our workloads aren't getting too large for us to be able to cope. So we need to look after our own well-being as everything else that we are currently doing. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is something called learning tools. Now, if you were within the session on Teams last week, you would have seen a slight section of this used, but the feedback we got is that a lot of people wanted to see more about it and how it worked. So what I'm going to do is you might recognize this view. This is the Office 365 platform. Okay, now the first thing that we should probably say is we always direct our students to actually access this piece of software rather than using the desktop software. Okay, and the reason for that is for one of two things really. First of all, this is the most up-to-date Microsoft software that there is. Anything that happens is changed on the Office 365 platform straight away. We don't have any compatibility issues. Back in the past we used to have students on Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows 95. We don't have that problem, and that obviously used to have issues of compatibility of bringing in work. So we always direct our students to using this platform, and because we're always using this platform, it has the most up-to-date tools that we have, okay, or that Microsoft are developing and bring out. So the first thing that I'm going to show is learning tools. So I'm going to show that within Microsoft Word. So by clicking on Word, I'm just going to create a blank document. Okay. Once again, I like to do this live just to show you kind of how easy this is. Okay. So we create a blank Microsoft document, and we can type in here as we normally would on any type of document. There's no issues, no problems. And that's just to show you it is a basic Word document. Okay. Now, just to make this slightly easier, I've gone onto the news website, and I've tried to find a story that isn't negative or obviously focusing on COVID-19. And all I'm going to do at this moment in time is just copy it. Okay, and I'm just going to go back and I'm going to paste it within. And the only reason I'm doing that is to make sure that it's a little bit quicker for you. And then up here at the top, we've got a couple of different options. Okay, so all I'm going to do is click View. Okay, and when you click View, there is an option here which says Immersive Reader. Now, what we do within Ribblesdale is we don't provide our students with differentiated materials. Okay, now in the past I had to print out work on yellow paper, blue paper, size 36 Comic Sans. Okay, and what we've decided to do is we've decided to empower our students by training them how to use the software that they have actually available to them. Okay, now please remember that all of this is free. It costs nothing as long as you've got your Office 365 license. Okay, and all you do is press Immersive Reader. And what this will do is this will change the view of the document. So first of all, as you can see, it's very, very different on the view that it changes, but it gives you a load of different options up here. Okay, and the first thing it will do is it will allow me to actually set the text size preference. So instead of actually trying to set something to size 56 because a pupil needs it for size 56 or 48, we've simply trained the student to be able to do that themselves. Okay, they are also able to increase the spacing or decrease the spacing depending on how it works for themselves. Okay. And then obviously we've got these different styles of fonts that are also there. So they say, you know, not many people like to use Comic Sans, okay, but Comic Sans is apparently very good for pupils who have dyslexia, and that is you know, so they can actually change it to one of the standard fonts which would suit them. And once again, they can decide on a color of a background which they would like. Okay, so they can decide, for example, myself, I have dyslexia, I prefer to work on a blue background, and it just changes it. Now we have to remember that this is unique for every single one of the pupils that we have, so they can all do it independently of altering that document. It's for themselves. And also we have a couple of other options. Okay, so over here I can press this option, and this actually helps with sort of pronunciations, and is quite good for teaching teaching younger students, maybe in primary school, on how, you know, there's different syllables, or actually looking at communication skills as well. So I can turn on the syllables and it splits up the words. Okay, or I can actually start to turn on the nouns, so it actually highlights all of the nouns for the students. I can turn off the nouns, I can add on the verbs, I can decide on the colours that you want. Okay, and remember that once again our pupils have been trained to do this themselves, so it's no extra work with on the teacher. The teacher sets one worksheet, the student adapts it for themselves. Okay, and that's just adjectives and adverbs. Really, really powerful thing to be able to support the students. And then we can come on to this last one, which is reading preferences over here. So once we've selected this, it then gives us a load of other different options. So first of all, we can line focus. So if anybody does struggle to read a large amount of text, you can take down the line focus, and it just gives them at that one line, and they can basically read the document as they would require. And once again, we can do that a little bit more. And a really useful tool that we have is something called Picture Dictionary. Okay, so all you'd need to do is click on a word, And if that word is has an availability, so for example, an image that represents that word, it will display that word as well. So not every team has that, okay, but as you can see, not every word, sorry, has that, but as you can see, that is an extremely powerful tool for students that might not understand the concept of a word, or an image might be able to help them to be able to do that. Or it might be in terms of we have a student with EAL, which, for example, doesn't understand a certain word. They can press it, and it will show an image if there is one available. Now, remember, this is just a document off the internet. And the very last one is also this translate tool. So Louise showed this a little bit within PowerPoint, but once again, a very, very powerful tool. Okay, so within this, what we can do is we can change, and as you can see, the amount of languages that we do have, we can decide to change this. Now, this was very powerful for us at Ribblesdale. We don't really have a lot of students with EAL, but before the half term, we got a young boy who only spoke I think it was Urdu, and for us to be able to provide the work that we needed him to do, is basically we showed him how to use this, and we showed him how to click Urdu, and all they needed to do was translate, and it translates it for that student. And then they can go back to the original, and they can go back, and once again it has that powerful tool, which is the image representation. Unfortunately, I can't locate a word as such, as I don't speak Urdu, but probably a little bit closer to home is we know that our MFL department use this quite a lot, because they use it to actually teach pronunciation of words. So for example, I can now do by document, and as you can see, that's now change that to French, and once again I can go back to English. Now I just need to double check that something is going to work here, so I just have to reshare my screen again, because I just want to click this. Okay, so the other powerful thing that this has to offer is we can press play.
An inflatable e-scooter compact enough to be stored inside a commuter's backpack has been unveiled in Japan.
And it will actually speak through those through the text as well. And once again, down here there's a load of different voice settings. We can speed the voice up, we can male or female depending on which the student would prefer. But how I was explaining this being used within our MFL department, they can change it to French, and then once again we can press play.
Un scooter gonflable assez compact pour être stocké à l'intérieur du sac à dos d'un banlieusard a été dévoilé.
And that's really empowered our students actually within the subject of MFL. I think last year when they started to use this, our grades really did rise, because they were able to actually listen to the word being spoken in their own time, and that's just something that has really benefited our students. Now, the thing about this is this can actually be, these learning tools are actually available on a variety of different platforms. Okay, so it's actually available within Microsoft Teams. Okay, so just to show you extremely quickly, within Teams. Okay, bear with me. So if I just go to one of our teams and our webinars here. Okay, so once again, if a student doesn't understand this or the words, they have the Immersive Tool Reader, which is just here. They can select that. It's in OneNote, it's in a variety of different platforms, and the thing is, this has been updated consistently. So the likes of Flipgrid as well. It's in Minecraft. I'm a computer scientist, and we use it within Minecraft when we're teaching coding, and it's a really helpful, fantastic tool. So if you go away with one thing today, I would certainly say try and start empowering your students to differentiate for themselves, and that will then allow teachers and free teachers up to actually focus on creating and developing resources, and using innovative ideas to engage our students, rather than adapting them for when students can do that themselves. So I hope that is a nice example of something there. Okay, now the next tool I'm going to show you is something which is called Office Lens. Now I'm sure this probably isn't new to a lot of people, but I just want to show you the reasons why I use Office Lens. So first of all, what is Office Lens? It's a free app, once again by Microsoft, and you can type Office Lens, okay, and basically what it does is when you type in Office Lens, it gives you a camera. Okay, and with that camera you can obviously take photos of different documents and different bits and pieces. Now here's a photo that I took of actually my young daughter's preschool book that we've been provided in these difficult times. It was surprisingly difficult to try and find a worksheet for me to actually to take a photo of. So this is from a book that they have provided us. And once again, it's a free tool, Office Lens, but the reason why I use Office Lens is it completely integrates with Office 365 and it makes everything so much easier for us. So all I've done here is when you load it up, I take a photo. The only reason I've not done it now is because obviously my camera will be live. I've taken a photo of that book, and all it will do is just like a scanning document, it will scan. Now, the reason why this is very powerful is there are a lot of teachers who have so many resources in filing cabinets or printed out documents or even textbooks, and the textbooks themselves might be extremely outdated, but there are still some really good resources within those textbooks. So as a teacher, we don't want to let them go, because we know that that is a bit of a go-to section, but rarely we've got 32 textbooks with one exercise in there which we could find useful. So what I would do is I would suggest to take a photo of the page that you would like, and once you've taken a photo, we just come down to the bottom right hand corner and we can save. Okay, and when you save, it will simply bear with me. Oh, it's looking slightly different than normal. It's because this is in the way. It will ask you how do you or where do you want to save it. So do you want to save it OneNote, OneDrive, PowerPoint, PDF, or your pictures gallery? And I'm just going to select Word. Okay, and all I'm going to do is just simply bottom right hand corner, press save. And this takes a little moment. Now the first thing is a lot of people normally think, now, well, if you use it, how come you've only got it from today and then obviously a year ago? The reason why that's there's not used is I use it on my mobile phone. The reason why I use it on my mobile phone is the camera's an awful lot easier to use. Once again, it's a free app, but completely works in exactly the same way in terms of this is completely linked up with my Office 365 account. So I use my phone, I see a nice resource, I take a photo of it and I send it into my Office 365 account, and I'm simply going to press open. So now I can tap to open up this document. And what this has done to this image, okay, it'll take a little moment, but it should have done a couple of things. First of all, it creates a document from it. Okay. But this document, okay, is now an editable document. Okay, so if I just simply press enable editing up here at the top, this document now becomes an editable document, as you can see. And the pictures are pictures and separate pictures, so you might look at it and think, well, that's no good, I don't want that. This image, I don't want the image, I can get rid of that image. And the real powerful thing about it is it turns in those exercise books that we might have, those resources that we don't want to throw away, we can turn them actually into editable documents that actually allow us to be able to edit them and alter them in a very, very quick way. And once obviously it's not going to be perfect, okay, but what it does as well is it gives you the original image right at the bottom of the page as well, so you can see what that original image looked like, and you can then see, okay, obviously what it looked like there, and it just allows you to be able to adapt any of those resources. And to give you how this worked very, very well for me, I had a student who lost their electronic copy of their coursework, but we had we were able to have a printed copy, so we were able to scan it back into the computer very quickly, and it was once again an editable document, and it was like it was never gone, and that was done in the space of 2 to 3 minutes. The other thing is it also grabs on handwriting as well. So obviously, depending on the quality or the neatness of somebody's handwriting will depend on how well that picks up. But if it doesn't understand any words, okay, and it seems to have understood most here, okay, what it will do is it will basically add the image of the word it doesn't understand. So it shows you the image of the word it doesn't understand, and then you can delete that and type in the word that it does. And then just to show you that this should have now have gone back to my Office 365 account, and as you can see, if I just refresh my page, this has actually gone straight into my Office 365 account 3 minutes ago. So I can be on the move, I can see a resource or a document with my mobile phone that I think is going to support my class. I can take a photo of it and it automatically sends it into my work area, enabling me to basically adapt it and edit it as I want or as I need. And as you can see, we've done it with exam papers as well, and just different bits and pieces there. And really, that's the end of the demo, and I'm hoping that basically there are a couple of nice little hints and tips there that you might have seen and that you can certainly take away with you. Now, I'd simply just anybody would like for me to answer.
Yeah, there are a few questions that have come up in the chat as you went through that. I think there's quite a bit of love for Immersive Reader in there, which is great, and for Office Lens. There was actually also a question about your background, and I was going to say that was your house, but actually I've declared that these are available. We'll be coming out on Teams. So I think the first one that came in was around Immersive Reader, and is that PC based or can you get it elsewhere?
It is web-based, okay, and because that is web-based, you are able to access it via any device that connects to the web, okay. So on Office Lens, one of the things that I can also do on a mobile phone is if they scan that document, they can actually Immersive Read it on their mobile phone. So it's not desktop based, it is basically web based. So any machine that can actually connect to the Office 365 platform basically has tools or has the tools available there to them. The great thing about 365 is it's device agnostic. It works with any device, no matter what that device is. If it's an Android, if it's an Apple, if it's a PC, it does not matter. All it needs is web enable, a device that is enabled to the web.
Yeah, that's great, and that applies obviously to all the Immersive Readers in wherever that is. You can use it on any device, whether it's a phone, a tablet. It doesn't matter as long as they've got a web connection, and that's a really powerful thing, is that your students can access this now, going via, as Lee showed right at the start of his demo, via the portal.office.com Office 365 page. So it's fantastic for that everyone can get on board and start to use these, and particularly whilst students are working remotely from us, they need all the support they can get, and they can differentiate a lot of those resources as they're going. There was a question as well regarding does it work in PDF documents? It won't work in PDF, but you can quite easily, as Lee's showing you, either scan that using Office Lens or just cut and paste the text into a Word document. But it literally a few seconds of a job, and it totally does work. So although it doesn't absolutely originally work in PDF, it does work in the other documents. There are ways around that. So that was another question that came in. Someone's asked about this, and will it be recorded? Absolutely, we're recording this. I did start it a little bit late, but you'll have the main bit, which is Louise and Lee, and Lee will share where that's going to be available after we finish this call. So absolutely, it will be sent out to all of you signed up. I think just looking down, everything looks okay. Yeah, someone's just asked about logging on to 365. You can just do it via any browser on your phone or whatever that may be. So I hope you've managed to get a good overview of what's going on in terms of some hints and tips. What are the next steps? What do I think, or what do we think you should be going on to do? Well, I think from my perspective, I think the first thing is think about how you're going to use EdTech, and think of that from a strategic direction. What is it going to look like now, maybe in the next couple of months? What's it going to look like from September when we're in a hybrid situation, because there will still be a lot of remote teaching and learning going on at that stage. And then ultimately, what's it going to look like when we get back into the normal way of working within schools? And I think that's very important to have some sort of plan about how you're going to do that. Secondly, Microsoft Educate community. Louise shared that with us at the start, and I'll put that up again at the end if we can find that. It's very important that, you know, if you've got people in your school that want some support, the webinars on there are fantastic, so I'd certainly reach out to there. And the third thing, as I mentioned right at the start, is the demonstrator schools. Please make sure that you go and have a look at the website for demonstrator schools, register your interest if you want further support. And as part of that program, we are going to be hosting a series of webinars starting week after next, and there'll be 1 or 2 each week around using Office 365 tools. So that will go through using Teams, OneNote, PowerPoint, Translate, everything across the whole 365, and they will happen between now and the summer, and then we'll carry on when we get back in September as well. So again, Lee will share those with you when the sign-up links are all available. But please take the opportunity to get some support from demonstrator schools. This resource has been made available, and I think it's an ideal opportunity to get that input. The final slide, I think that Lee's going to flick to, hopefully, because I don't have control.
Yes, it's currently available. It should be on. The next steps.
Yeah, no, carry on, Lee. The next one, please. Is that okay? Keep going. Yep. Fantastic. There's our social handles, our Twitter handles. So if you want to link up with either Lee, Louise, or myself, we're on there. There's the web address in terms of further support. That edtech.ribblesdale.org is not yet live. It's coming out off the press, and it will be early next week. And that is your one-stop shop for things like signing up to webinars and further support. On the right-hand side at the bottom is a demonstrator school website address, and you can go to there, and then that's where you can get some further support. Lee will share this deck after the presentation, so you'll get all that. But absolutely, we will be doing further webinars about how to set up Teams from scratch, how to use it with your classes, how to use it with your staff, how to use OneNote with your classes and with the wider staff as well. We will cover everything and anything that we think will be of help to you. And if there's anything specifically that you need support with between now and then, just reach out to Lee or myself or Louise. And if we got the time and capacity, which I'm sure we will find, we will reach out to you. But the demonstrator school route is the best way to get some support at this stage. Thanks very much for everyone listening in this afternoon. We really appreciate it. We've kept to within an hour rather than an hour and a half, which is great. And I hope you have a good afternoon, what's left of it. Thank you very much, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.